Everyone thought the Sony RX100 line was dead. For years, tech channels waited for an announcement that never came. Every product cycle passed with nothing but silence, and eventually, most of the camera community simply moved on, assuming smartphones had finally finished off the compact camera market for good. On the surface, that theory made a lot of sense. Phone cameras kept improving every single year, adding extra lenses, better sensors, computational photography tricks, and instant sharing that no dedicated camera could match in convenience. Because of that shift, most manufacturers quietly stopped making small point-and-shoot cameras altogether, and the segment that once defined portable photography started to look like a relic of the past. But if you talk to serious content creators, the people who actually rely on their gear to earn a living, you get a very different story. A smartphone lens is physically tiny, no matter how many marketing terms get attached to it. A smartphone sensor can only capture a limited amount of real light before the software has to step in and compensate. And software can only take an image so far before the compromises start to show. Watch smartphone footage on a large television or a cinema monitor, and the flaws appear almost immediately. You start noticing heavy compression artifacts in the shadows, aggressive sharpening around edges, and unnatural noise reduction that smooths out skin and texture in a way that looks plastic rather than real. That is exactly why high-end creators never fully abandoned their dedicated cameras. They wanted actual optical depth. They wanted real glass elements bending real light. They needed physical sensors that pull in natural detail without relying on digital shortcuts to fake the result. Now, after years of silence, the conversation is finally changing. The Sony RX100 VIII is making headlines across the entire tech world, and industry insiders who have been quiet for years are suddenly talking again. Supply chain leaks are pointing toward a real, tangible release, and if these early reports turn out to be accurate, this is not going to be a small, boring, incremental update. This is not a minor menu tweak or a slightly different shade of body paint. Based on everything currently circulating, this looks like the single biggest hardware evolution the RX100 family has ever gone through. To understand why that matters, it helps to remember why the RX100 series became legendary in the first place. It put genuinely professional optical performance into a body small enough to slide directly into a jacket pocket. You did not need a giant, heavy backpack just to shoot high-quality footage. You did not need to carry 3 interchangeable lenses on a simple afternoon walk through a city. You just grabbed one small device, dropped it in your pocket, and went out into the world ready to shoot whatever came your way. That single idea made the RX100 line an instant favorite among travel vloggers, street photographers, and documentarians who wanted to stay lightweight and low-key while still producing footage that looked professional. Sony clearly understands that this specific market never actually disappeared, and if anything, it has been growing. Creators are tired of phone screens that overheat after 10 minutes of continuous recording. They want a real tool built for long shooting sessions, and this time, Sony appears to be preparing something far more ambitious than a simple spec bump. The biggest point of discussion right now revolves entirely around the sensor. A sensor is never just another line item on a spec sheet somewhere. It is the actual core engine of the entire imaging system. It decides how incoming light gets translated into visual data. A meaningfully better sensor changes how footage feels on a fundamental level. It controls how the camera performs once the sun goes down. It dictates how much fine detail survives inside a frame. It defines how rich and accurate the color space looks straight out of the camera. It determines exactly how smoothly highlights roll off into shadow detail. If Sony has actually managed to fit a next-generation sensor inside the RX100 VIII, the performance gap between this pocket-sized camera and much larger mirrorless setups could shrink dramatically. In simple terms, this tiny camera could